Our 2 cents.
With Oscar.
If I had good health, I wouldn't have to juggle two things, but it's not an issue at all. Welcome once again to Our 2 Cents with your host, Oscar. Anyways, welcome. It is the 6th of August. And as we near the end of the year, we're what? 3 months away from the end of the year. That's 90 days, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary folk. 90 days. Let me see. So 90, if we divide it by 3, I don't even know what that equals to. Probably 9 episodes? Is it? No, I'm tripping because it's 3 a week. 3, 6, 9, 12. I don't know. Anyways, but we got a long time still just so we can get to know each other more. Anyways, today, I hope I mentioned the name. Tarek. I hope I mentioned it right. And if I didn't, I really apologize. But I had a conversation today with, I'm having a conversation, I should say, today with, don't mind me, I recorded this, as you will notice from the hair. Anyways, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you that I had a conversation with Tarek from the Science of Philosophy podcast. We had a conversation on content creation, the usual good stuff that I like knowing from every other single content creator. This was a little more interesting because where I found him from was from a video that he was talking about. Tarek was talking about cave paintings and how they used to literally watch movies on there because the lighting, the drawings, and the shades and all that good stuff from the fire, and But anyways, it was a great conversation because it seems like he's in a path that I've embarked as well. That he also has a podcast from the Science of Philosophy. Check out his YouTube and his podcast and all his good stuff. Subscribe, please do, and don't let up this podcast. Please subscribe. But anyways, let me say happy Monday once again. It is the 6th of September. And today it is National. You want to take a wild guess? National Ice Cream Day. It is another ice cream day. But this time it's not just any ice cream. It's coffee ice cream. Tapioca? No, not tapioca. Jamocha. That flavor right there? That flavor is tits, let me say. That's a good flavor to eat. Anyways, so it is National Coffee Ice Cream Day. And this one is a little bit more exciting. So it is National Read a Book Day. So for once in your life, pick up a book and read it. It's an advice that I should take myself as well. Anyways, and the most important one for today that marks the end of the summer. And that's it. We made it through. We baked, and some people bathe, but us on the West Coast, we did bake. Plenty of fire. So it is the first Monday of September, and it is National Labor Day. So if you have a job, it's your day. Enjoy it. And if you have a job and it's still your day, but if you didn't get it off, well, sucks to suck. Anyways, I always say suck to suck. But that's all I have for you today, and allow me to Ooh, okay. Allow me to bring my friend Tariq from Jesus Christ. I apologize. This is something that I was doing constantly on the podcast, which was messing up, which is something I do constantly, but it's all right. We'll make it through. So again, I bring to you my friend Tariq from the Science of Philosophy. Let's see if this time it worked.
Hey, does it
Oh,
work?
there we go.
No.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta apologize. I'm gonna start off by apologizing because when we tried last week to do this, I made a mistake.
No.
It
Can you
wasn't.
hear me now?
I can hear you perfect, loud and clear.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
My
No
mistake was
worries.
I
What
turned.
was
I had turned my headphones off over here,
it's the simplest thing. It's one button click. That's what gets you.
and I was going crazy right after I told you know what? Let me just figure this out, and then we'll reschedule it. I was
No
freaking
worries
out.
at all. That's funny. No, it gave me time to marinate, it was for the best. Yeah.
All right, so it works out better. Then that's good. All right.
Right.
All right. Welcome. This is Oscar. I'm Oscar, the host of Our
Oscar.
2 Cents. I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do and please promote your TikTok and your Instagram and you have a YouTube, of course, right?
I do. I haven't done much with it. I just post my podcast episodes. But yeah,
All right,
Oscar,
but
very
still,
nice to meet you, Oscar. My name's Tarek, Tarek,
Tarek,
and I'm the
pleasure.
Science of Philosophy on TikTok. I mostly just post on TikTok, but I have also a podcast and a YouTube channel and like a personal Instagram. But yeah, what's your Instagram?
Oh, my Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually I just keep it for the podcast, just to promote the podcast.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Our
Um,
2 cents.
Unfortunately, my job requires me to stay a long time at work, so I don't have much time to create the content and upload it on Instagram and all that good
I
stuff. That's
feel
why I
that.
stopped. But this I try to keep it going, so
Sick.
I
Yeah.
work around. Um,
Well, I enjoy it, man. I
yeah,
enjoy it.
definitely. I mean, it's fun, like especially when you get to talk to interesting people that know things that I would have never ever thought of researching until I come across them. Like for example, like the video that got me to send you the message to find you and see which was the easiest and most possible way to reach you, which was through your Instagram, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And I was able to reach you because I saw the video that you were talking about the caves,
Hmm.
the painting. What do you call? What do they call it? I
Cave
forgot.
paintings,
Cave
cave drawings.
painting.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I would. To me, it looked right when you first started showing the video. To me, it looked like a bunch of scribbles on the wall. But when you started explaining what it was, I started seeing it more, and I'm like, wow. So these people discovered motion picture way before even what Egyptians maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years ago, at least. That's what that cave paintings were 13,000 years old. So they're like dudes like you and I that were like, dude, I want to watch a movie. And they made that happen. Like they had limited technology, but, they still made it happen because humans are humans.
Right.
Art is it preserves itself across generations, regardless of like what technology you have, which is wild. You don't think of it that way, but yeah.
Right. I mean, that at least to the average person, that stuff that you say is technology to the average person like myself. I'm gonna include myself there 'cause that's me.
Mhm.
um, to that average person, it doesn't seem like technology, because we're so accustomed to having all this nice stuff that we're able to talk to each other over literally over the air, and that to us seems like technology, but that just seems like I don't know, maybe a bunch of scribbles, like I said earlier.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about like I post like philosophy content primarily, and it kind of takes you out of the like assumptions you're set in when you're modern, like that you just don't question. And one of those assumptions I think is that like our modern times are indistinguishably different from like the past humans because of like the incredible technology that we have. But in a lot of ways, like there's things that don't change regardless, like, human communication and interaction, there's fundamentals that don't change regardless of how quickly you can communicate. But like on another important level that I find interesting is that the as technology progresses, it doesn't mean necessarily that like human happiness or fulfillment progresses as well. We're on today, like the poorest person is more technologically advanced than the richest aristocrat 200 years ago. And yet it's not, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're happier than all of those people. And you could question whether we're happier than the cavemen who went into the caves to watch the movies. For instance, like ancient people in ancient Greece didn't have air conditioning, but there wasn't like 90% of their society clamoring for some sense of like meaning or purpose in life and the sense of like lostness. Like there's a lot of modern problems, I think, that we've developed, not only in spite of the technology that we've progressed, but maybe because of it. And I think seeing things like that, where ancient cave people had access to entertainment that was amazing, perhaps just as amazing as our entertainment today, makes you realize that and feel a deeper sense of connection to them rather than a sense of superiority, which is what we usually feel.
Right. We don't have the same struggles as they did that maybe that to them was like having a 4K TV in your house now,
Yeah,
and we don't
yeah,
even think about that cuz our times today they've we as a human race have made it so easy for ourselves that we don't have the struggles, there's hardly any struggles, and the majority of the struggles pretty much we put them on ourselves. I'm saying some of them. I should just say
sure.
some of them, right? Because there's stuff that's inevitable, and then it just sucks all around. That's why I always say sucks to suck.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. There's a saying that goes, hard times create a uh, hard man,
right.
and easy times. I forgot how it ends, but
Hard, isn't it like hard times create hard men or something, and then hard men create
easy
easy
times.
times,
There you go.
and
That's
then
it.
easy times create like bad men or something.
Something along the lines,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it feels like we're at that crossroads where most of
Wow.
us are seeing that it's like, all right, what's going on here? Are we being too easy on ourselves? Do we need to go a little harder? But we need to understand that we need to have compassion to each other, with each other, and it's hard to find the balance when it comes to how do we keep the struggle, but how do we help everybody out? You know?
That's so interesting. That's such a great point. Like, because the one of the problems with that is when you're in easy times, like, I think both of us maybe inevitably are, but I'd be interested, like, to know your, but like, you don't even realize that how easy you have it and how blind you are.
Right.
Like I recently went to Egypt. That's where my dad's from, and
Awesome.
it's like one of the, like, it's a third world country. It's a beautiful country. There's amazing people there, but like you could work a minimum wage here in America and make like 7.25 an hour, and you could work a whole week in Egypt and you would make the exact same money because the conversion rate is so little. And it's like,
Right.
it doesn't mean that people who are making minimum wage are living this lavish lifestyle and are happy. So it's hard. It's so hard because it's like, what do you do with that information? Do you criticize the American people who are suffering and trying to feed their children in America? Do you, like, how do you equalize that inequality in a way that is, I don't know. So it's, yeah, it's what you're saying is, it's so hard to figure out what to do in light of that, because often you don't even realize what the situation is.
Right. It feels like you can't include, you can't include everybody that should be included in there. It just feels like, because not everybody has the same train of thought, right? And it
Mhm.
seems like if you don't include a certain group of people, you seem like you're being too harsh on them, and then that's where it becomes, oh, you're this and you're that, and so on and so forth, right?
Mhm.
But of course, we can't deny the fact that there are those people that are that and that else, right?
Yeah. And well, I think the most, like, for me, I let the best become the enemy of the good a lot. And I think that's like the mindset of a perfectionist. And I think it's really detrimental, especially like any point in your life, like whether it's work, but especially in this area, because I think a lot of people take the mindset that I can't, like there's billions of people that I just can't help. And so I'm not going to help anyone. Or like this person, or a lot of times people say to themselves, like there are people that have it worse off than me. So who am I to deserve this thing that I need, either emotionally or physically or financially? But the thing about, you mentioned compassion is like, you have to have self-compassion for your ability. Like you're limited as a human being. You can't solve every problem, but you can solve one problem maybe. And that's amazing, right? Like the opportunity to solve one thing to improve one person's life, regardless of there's billions of other people suffering. Like the best shouldn't be the enemy of the good. And it's important to like develop that compassion, I think, for yourself and others.
Right. A lot of us, is hard for us to see that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes reminding.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that your dad was grew up in Egypt, right? And you said the people that made minimum wage there, which was the equivalent to here. What was it? Seven
Well, it's
something.
one American dollar is 15 Egyptian pounds. But the
Okay.
prices, so like a steak dinner is still like 20 Egyptian pounds, but that's like $1.20 of American dollars, which is crazy. So that's like
Right.
the conversion rate. Yeah.
Right. I was gonna say that. Yeah, those people, they seem to not even notice what the world is doing. At least this is how I remember, because I myself grew up in El Salvador, and I
Oh, cool.
remember, yes, and I remember that my cousins and aunts and uncles that used to work, they only used to work half of the year,
Hmm.
and I don't remember ever noticing that we lived in poverty. Like I started noticing that we lived in poverty when I came to the States. I was like, yo, we were poor as shit, and I
Yeah.
didn't even notice it, because it was just fun. And we had trees. They did all kinds of stuff, to maintain health, to maintain a good diet, a healthy diet. And when I came here, that's when I started gaining weight.
Do you visit there ever in your
No,
adult life? Yeah.
unfortunately, I can't.
Right. I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Unfortunately, I can't. But it's not. I'm so used to being where I'm at, because I call this home now. Because
Hmm.
I was too young when I left from El Salvador to even say, oh yeah, I'm Salvadorian, because I'm pretty much just by blood, I'm just Salvadorian. But
Right.
as far as culture, I don't remember anything about it. It's been so long. Half my life, it's been more than half my life. A third of my life has been here.
Right.
But
Well,
as far as going back to the subject that I'm trying to say, is that I don't even remember of us of us. Jesus Christ, I can't even get it out. I don't
yeah.
remember. I don't remember us ever even thinking that we were poor. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, while you're there. That's the thing. That's the crazy thing about the human mind is like I was whatever in Egypt like a month ago, and it's left me like that frame of comparison. Like when I first returned, I was, every meal I ate, I was like, wow, I'm so grateful for this, like all of the things. I can't, I mean, I don't think about it anymore. That's just your brain gets so habituated to what you're around. And instead of comparing yourself or your situation to like the worst ones that are
Mm-hmm.
under you, you automatically adjust to the ones that are above you in any like subject. But there are like that's like so many things like that we just do on autopilot every day and we don't
Mm-hmm.
think about it. And like just noticing it can make it so that you're able to switch it off at even for like a minute or a second, and like realize we're both using like this crazy technology. We've
Right.
got it, financially stable enough that we can have the leisure to have this conversation. Like,
Of course.
I mean, and of course it sounds cheesy and it feels cheesy, but if you do it enough, I think it can sink in and it can really help you in your life.
Yeah, I always try to, this is what I always say to myself. I'm lucky enough to be where I'm at. Oh, I'm lucky enough to have what I have. I try to maintain that mindset, just to keep me grounded at least, because I can't. I mean, I should say I don't want to, and I should say I can as well, right? But I don't want to get into the mindset where I'm just like, just get this done, get that done, But I try to have a get my mind right, by either
Yeah.
exercising, which I will admit, and because I've admitted in the past too, that my exercising has not been doing well. So yeah,
Like your mental or your physical
my
exercising?
physical exercising,
Oh yeah.
but my
Dude, you
ment.
look in shape. I mean, it's working. Whatever.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Because it was during the pandemic is when I stopped.
Yeah.
And I stopped working out and paying attention to it because I was like, if we're all gonna die, I don't want to die on a diet.
Right.
I've said it before. But anyway, yeah. So it to me it's amazing to know that the humans have always seek some form of technology. And since the 50s, we've came across to a point, right, where stuff is getting smaller and it's getting cheaper and it's getting easier to make. That now we're thinking about human. I'm thinking when I say we, obviously I'm not smart enough to even think of that. But as a human race, now we're even thinking about putting all that in our bodies. For the longest we've carried it in our pocket, but now we're getting to the point. All right, we now have the technology to put it in our bodies. It's just a matter of figuring out how.
Right. What is your view on that? Do you see that as something like dystopian, or are you for it?
Okay, so part of me gets excited about it because I'm like, wow, technology, the advancements. There's going to be more people taking care of their health because the
Mm,
technology will allow it to be better. So I think about that, and I also think of people that are born without the abilities of certain things, and I think of how good it's going to be for them. But
uh,
then you stop and you think, all right, I've watched iRobot, I watched The Matrix, and then you start thinking of all those things. So you're like, where is this going? So on one side I'm excited about it, and another side I'm conflicted with it. So I'm 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 in the middle. Just gonna say there because like I'm telling you, I'm excited but conflicted at the same time. Where are you at?
yeah. I mean, I like what you said about like, I think a lot of times we think too much maybe about whether we can and not whether we should.
Of
But
course.
like I'm conflicted as well because I see those benefits, especially like something like giving someone the ability, for instance, to walk where they didn't, because you like tap into the neurons and that connection, something like
The
that.
nerve
Like, and
system.
on the surface, that seems obviously good. But I think a lot of times the only thing that technology does is add new needs to our life, because like we were just saying, like the brain gets so habituated to what you have that it no longer becomes this, like, your phone. Like I've had a phone since I was a teenager. When I first got it as a teenager, it was the best thing that like ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
Could talk to my friends, browse like the whole internet.
You could play
And
Snake.
now, yeah, it made me happier every day for maybe like 2 weeks. And then
Right.
since for those after those 2 weeks when I was a teenager, since then it's just been a source of anguish. Like if I
I
don't
have
have my phone, I'm unhappy, I get anxious, like, I need the dopamine. And if I do have it, it doesn't really make me happy. It's just kind of a baseline, satisfaction. And so, and then, like, there's a so for specifically with, like, for instance, giving people the ability to walk that didn't. Like, one of my favorite scientific psychological studies is they measured the happiness a year after people became paraplegics, which is like they couldn't move the bottom half of their bodies,
right.
and a year after people won the lottery. And they asked, like, are people who won the lottery happier than people who became paraplegic? And after about a year, they were the exact same level of happiness. In fact, the paraplegics were slightly happier than the people who had won the
Okay.
lottery.
I can see why. I mean, they're them being happy that they're still alive, even though they're in the situation that they're in. I can see that. But
But the main thing is, like, you just get used to stuff. Like, for the first 2 weeks, it probably sucks being a paraplegic. You're thinking about all the things you can't do, but after that, your mind, your psychological immune system kicks in. Like, people say, like, there's a story, I can't remember who. It's like a disabled person. They're like, I'm sorry, you have to use your wheelchair, and they respond like, I'm not sorry. Like, I get to use my wheelchair. I can move around to all these places that I couldn't if I didn't have it. Like there's every source of movement becomes a source of gratitude now, instead of it's taken for granted. Like, I don't know, there's a miraculous ability of the human mind to just get used to stuff, whether it's bad or it's good. And the challenge, I think, is like reminding yourself of that and trying to be grateful for the good things, and acknowledging that the bad things are going to come and they're going to pass, and it's only natural, and they're not going to be there forever.
Right. In my life, I've met a few people in a wheelchair, and for the most part, those people seem to be more grateful,
Yeah.
than the average person. And the only people that I feel like they feel like they're more down on themselves. It's people who have like you just mentioned right now, like who people have just started going through that
Right.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I understand that. I understand that. I had a friend.
It takes time. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who lost a leg, just a leg, But the first couple of weeks, he was really down on himself, and you could see that he was depressed. You could see it on him.
Yes.
As a 17-year-old, I didn't know anything about it, But thinking back at it, that's why I'm saying I could see it, because I think back and I'm like, oh yeah, he wouldn't even come out of his room at all. Granted, his leg had just been cut off, so obviously he lost a limb. So obviously it's going to come with some psychological effects, And
Yeah.
yeah, but after a couple of months, I remember that he became a little more cheerful, and I haven't seen him in years. But I remember the last couple of years, he was happy with himself. He was going to school. He was finishing he was a respiratory doctor or nurse, something like that. That's what he was doing.
Uh-huh.
But and as far as I heard, the last couple of things I've heard, he was really successful. And I'm pretty sure he only thinks about it because he has to care for his prosthetic leg. Maybe that's the only time he thinks about it. But other than that,
Hmm.
as far as I remember, because I haven't seen him in a while, he didn't seem to even mind about it.
Yeah. See, that's the crazy, that because not only like after a time do you just get used to it, it's not a problem, but now he knows like the worst thing that could probably happen to you, like one of the worst things you could imagine, he is like strong enough to overcome that. Like, so he has this sense of like security that none of like you or I can never have, because the worst thing that we can imagine hasn't happened to us and we haven't overcome it. So like not only does it not, I think, like limit him in his life as much anymore in terms of happiness, like he just feels gratitude, but he has like this identity and this security psychologically that I think is probably inaccessible to you. So like in a way, he's turned this worst thing into a gift, into like
Yeah.
something amazing about him and his life. That's, I think, the best thing about something like that.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're not wrong right there, because for the most part is I've also heard this saying too as well, that the worst thing that ever happened to you is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. And
Right.
and to me, the worst thing that ever has happened that's ever happened to me, it's I've dropped my food when I'm eating, so
Dude, that's pretty bad. Especially when you're hungry.
right, it could be a problem, but I don't
Yeah.
think third world people are even thinking of that as a problem. They're probably because I remember us doing this. That's why I'm gonna say it. They'll probably just pick it up off the floor, and wipe it off and just blow the dirt off and just eat at it. Because
Yeah.
I remember as
Yeah.
a child we used to do that. That's why I'm saying it.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's interesting how humans can accommodate to whatever situation they're put on, whatever stress you're put on. Most humans will thrive through that what do we call it?
I
Adversity.
don't know. Yeah, adversity. Yeah.
Yes.
That's, I mean, and that's like, I think we do that naturally, and sometimes it's like very hard to, like, that can send you into a spiral that you don't come out of. But I think one of the amazing things that I love about like art, for instance, is its ability to like almost magically transform those bad things like into good things. And it's kind of like what we were saying, where his, like, the worst thing that happened to him of losing a leg became now the source of security and gratitude. I think art can like trigger in people, like there's this James Baldwin quote where he says, you think your suffering is unprecedented in the history of the world, and then you read and you realize that the things that torment you the most are precisely the things that connect you with everyone who's alive and has ever been alive. And that's the power of art and reading or anything, is it can magically transform the worst things into the best things. And that is like, to me, more powerful than any technology or AI that we could develop or anything like that, is to emotionally transform pain into joy and suffering into bliss. Like that's beautiful to me. So
Yeah, yeah. Technology is very has been very good for us, but it's putting us in a weird situation too as well. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
a lot of it.
that's interesting, you know, to like I said, to know that we can accommodate to whatever situation we're put in. And I say we as a human race because if my situation would probably change, you know, I'd probably sit down and cry for like a month and month. So, but you know,
I know, yeah.
most of
Month,
us
maybe 3 months, but you know that
exactly.
fourth month is going to be better. It takes time. That's all it
Exactly.
takes.
That's what it's all about. Keeping it consistent, and getting better at it. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
I- we're talking about humans and all that, and you know, I can't help but to think what was going on. What is it? 13, 14, 15, 15, 13. Oh, Jesus Christ, 14,000 years. Right, you know, when the human form that we have today, what was going on prior to that? Like, did they also have some sort of cities or what was going on? Because
yeah,
they say that the Amazon has a grids like city grids, right? But that'll still put us in the modern age. What about Quebec Teplic? That's what I'm thinking of. If we,
yeah, yeah.
what was before that? Do you think there was cities before that?
That's really interesting. Like, I think there's probably like archaeological evidence, but I do think like there's the written historical record that like cuts off about 10,000 years ago or so. And then there's like the archaeological record that you're talking that I'm not super familiar with. But I think it definitely doesn't go far back. Like we know from evolutionary psychology that we're about 200,000 years. Like the earliest fossils that had our same brains are about
Mm-hmm.
200,000 years ago. So like
Right.
there's 200,000 years ago, and then somewhere along the timeline is like these sites that you're talking about where
Right.
there's
Right.
like
Right.
city grids, but it's definitely not 200,000 years ago. Like there's definitely at least 100,000 or maybe 150,000, maybe more, where there is no archaeological evidence of like civilizations and cities. But there are some things, like for instance, even Neanderthals, there's grave sites where they buried their dead with jewelry, kind of like we do. They're not
Wow.
even humans; they're Neanderthals, and other human things where they create like the cave paintings where they make art that I think give these clues that they really were like psychologically the same as you and I. It's just
Right.
we couldn't access that. I don't know.
Right.
What do you think? Do you think what how would you answer it?
Okay. So see, this is what I think about humans and this is what I think. Okay. Just in general about humans. I think life. I should say. This is what I think about life. I think life is probably like an etch a sketch, right?
Oh,
You know, when you
okay.
draw your picture, you're done. You're done drawing your picture. Now, you know what else are you gonna do with it? You can't do nothing with it because the picture is already finished, right? So you got to erase everything to start it off again. And
Yeah.
now, modern day today. Let's look at today. We've created the atomic bomb, right? Human. I'd say we keep taking credit for what humans have done, but you know, because I'm human as well, so
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
gonna take credit. Fuck it. So we humans have created the atomic bomb. So is that the form of the erasing of the etch a sketch? Because obviously, if everybody starts blowing each other up, because there's multiple countries that have atomic bombs, right? So if
Yeah.
everybody starts shooting those bombs at each other, we're literally gonna erase everything and everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that makes me think like maybe life in the human form is exactly that way. How long does it take for like an atomic site, an atomic bomb site for what the hell is it called? Yeah,
Radiation.
for the radiation to go away. How long does it take?
I think it's like millions of years.
Oh, so
I
okay.
don't
So
think
my
it's
theory doesn't make sense. Then Jesus.
well, no, okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if this is what you were thinking, but I think it matches perfectly. Like, there's this philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who he has this work, his two discourses where he asked this question that you asked of like, what were humans like before civilization in this original state of nature? And he makes the exact same point you make, except instead of nuclear bombs, he uses language, right? Because if you think about like animals today, it is an etch a sketch. Like a beaver starts its life and lives its life, and any lessons it learns about how to build a dam effectively or raise children, all of those things are lost when that beaver dies. And the new generation just starts over from their natural instincts and inclination or whatever. But humans, at some point in those 200,000 years, we invented a language, and we could pass on these lessons and knowledge to future generations. And at that point, it no longer was an etch and sketch, because you could preserve the sketch across generations. And
Right.
maybe, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I do think like that is that component you were looking for in that the atomic bomb example. Because if you
Mm,
don't have language or some way of like communicating across generations, then it's level zero every time you're born.
right.
um,
See, when you talk about language, I can't help but to think that language also gets everybody in trouble, though.
yeah.
Because it's tricky though. Because what you're saying makes sense, but I'm like, but also language gets us in trouble. Because if if you speak another language and you learn the language that I speak, obviously the way I say it, it's not going to be the way you're going to take it, because however you understand the language is however you speak the language.
Yeah,
And maybe that's why we've been into so many wars, right? Because we don't understand each other. you know,
that's such a great and I think misunderstood point that people don't make, is like when you get communication, you also get miscommunication. Like it's just a necessary result. And as a result of miscommunication, all the good that comes with the communication could be equaled. And one of the things, like the philosopher Rousseau, he shares your view. He agrees with you. And one of the things he points out is like when you start like existing in these like tribes and civilizations where you have to like communicate with people, you necessarily like start to develop reputations, because it's like if a guy is trying to steal and stuff, you're like tell everyone, it's like, hey, that dude's stealing stuff. So by
right.
you then become self-conscious, because you're like, I don't want people to think I'm stealing stuff, because then they'll kick me out and I'll die. So this like factor of self-consciousness is introduced with language as well, where I'm always thinking of what you're thinking about me as I'm acting in the world. And some of the things I do aren't because I like them or I'm interested. It's because I want people to like me. And originally it's because I need them to like me, because I'll die if people don't like me. But now today it results in this just obsession with the opinion of other people, and this complete inability to even know what I want, individually. Most people's lives are completely determined by the not and it's so and it's the worst thing. And this has happened to me. Like the concrete example is like, I don't really like country music that much. Like,
Right.
I know it's okay, it's
It's
not my
okay, yeah,
thing.
of course.
But sometimes like I'll meet someone that I think like they have a vibe to them that they might like country music, and they'll ask me like, one time they asked me like, what kind of music do you? I was like, oh, I kind of like country music. I don't know, because I just wanted them to like me. And they were like, oh yeah, country music's not really for me. But yeah, no, I get that. So now I was like, that's not even the thing. So that situation happens all the time, because we're trying to calculate what other people are thinking and then adjust our behavior as a result of our calculations. And it
Right.
just leads to just complete anguish. That's like one of the biggest problems, I think, is that whole psychological tangle that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, we worry too much. What are they gonna say? I,
Yeah.
I think that comes from genetics, though, because uh, if you think about it, when with back in the days, like I'm talking about like 14, maybe 13s, people
Yeah.
people used to when you stood in front of a crowd, it was just to defend yourself. So
Right.
you were worried that you had to defend yourself, and probably it's rolled over until today that now we worried about everybody thinking, what are they going to say about us? And that
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
be
Do you
a,
have that problem? Do you feel like you worry, or are you self-secure? Like,
it's
yeah.
it's one of my biggest problems. I'm working on it though, but because especially with what I want, what I like doing, and what I want to do, it's something that I have to get over, because I cannot be thinking like that. And as far as mental health, I think it should be something we should all be learning, to not worry too much about what are they thinking about us. 'Cause a lot of us, that's the only thing we worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's what one I'm sorry, I keep bringing it back to philosophy, but one of the things I
that's good.
love about like philosophy is it gives you these alternative perspectives on like how to orient your life. like most of us, I think, just naturally have this perspective of like, I want people to like me, so I'm going to just act in the world in a way that makes people like me. And like, for instance, like drugs, I think I hear have this experience where people take, I don't know, like LSD or something, and they're like, I never even thought this other way of looking at the world was possible, and now my eyes are open. But I think you can have like that same kind of shift in perspective from just reading a book that someone wrote, where instead of like, for instance, thinking, what can I say to make this person like me? You think, what can I say that a good person, that is morally correct here? And you think about, well, what is the morally right thing? What does that mean? And all of your calculations and everything are going into like, what is a good person doing here, rather than what are they thinking and what are their preferences and likes, and how can I chameleon myself into a mold to fit those calculations of what they, and the mental psychological experience of living those kinds of two different lives are worlds apart. And it's just one kind of switch in like what your reference points is. So yeah, I don't, and it's hard. I think you naturally go towards one, but it's like
Right.
there are other options available, and that's inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, we always, as I keep going, I keep saying, as humans, we always lean
Yeah.
into the easiest, whatever is more comfortable,
Yeah.
and worrying about people feels more comfortable than not worrying. It's easier. It's easiest it's easier to care than not to care. So
Yeah.
for me, it's a fight, because
Yeah.
there's weeks where I'll feel it more than other weeks. Like this week, I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling like I'm in the
Good.
top right now. But there's other weeks where I'm like, where the hour of recording where I've scheduled somebody to have a conversation with, it's nearby. I start trying to find excuses why not to do it, and a lot of the excuses are because it's not even good. People aren't gonna like it. Even though I do get feedback, I do get good feedback in it. And
Yeah.
every time I read the good feedback, it's what motivates me and what keeps me enjoying what I do. And but when I don't even think about the good feedback and I start getting into my own head, it's when I start beating myself down a lot.
It's a
That's
defense mechanism. But I mean, I don't think it's in like, you need it. You need a sense of self-worth to survive. So like, as much as you need food in this world, you need the self-worth. And like, for instance, like, I'm a big procrastinator, or I have been. And I think it's fascinating because like, anyone who procrastinates has the same problem, because
yeah.
when it's a defense mechanism, because if you wait till the last moment where something's due, and then you do it, and you get a good feedback or a good grade or whatever it is, you think, wow, I didn't even spend any time and I still did good. I'm amazing. Look how amazing I am. And but this is the genius part about it, is if you do bad and you get bad feedback, uh, you can say, well, I only started till the last minute. It's not a true display of my ability. So you're just immune. Like, no matter what, you win if you just wait till. So, but there's something, the problem, and like, this is the really concerning thing, is because there are some things in life that do not have due dates, that
hmm
force you to, like, your relationships with your family, your own happiness, like whether you like your job or not. Like, theoretically, you can continue at the same job that you hate for your entire life, and there's no due date that's going to force you to do it. So like, I think people have to find a sense of self-worth that's independent of their like performance and ability in these things, because otherwise you're going to keep procrastinating, because it's a genius. You would be stupid not to, in that case, because it works so well in terms of your self-worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about due dates, when you said due dates, all I could think was like, y- y- I don't, I don't have a due date, but I've made myself due dates.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Because that's sometimes that's the only pressure that will make you do it, is like some kind of like, due date that's looming over you. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I mean, because like you said, me too as well. I'm a big procrastinator. Like
Yeah.
for Monday, I failed for Monday, and those are the days where I beat myself down, but then that's what I lean towards, because I'm like, oh, I felt this bad, I don't want to do it again next week, so I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I think at the end, one of the important things was that is like surrounding yourself with people that like support you and love you like unconditionally. Because if you're deprived of that, then you're gonna have to seek it somewhere else. But if you have that security, like, if like, no matter what happens, like I can go to this person and they'll approve of me, they'll validate me. Then you can have the courage to like take risks and to, do things like that, because you always have that foundation. I think
All
that's,
right.
and that's something you either are lucky to have or unlucky not to have. Like it's not really determined by you. You can do things to cultivate it, but yeah. So that's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. You mentioned at the beginning you had a podcast, right? You have a podcast. How often do
Yeah.
you do your podcast?
Oh man, I haven't done one for a few months. Like the
All
the
right.
the idea is that I take philosophers' claims about the world. Like, I've been mentioning Rousseau and stuff like that. Like Rousseau says stuff about ancient humans and how they lived and all this stuff about language and its development. I haven't done a podcast on him, but I would love to in the future. And then I take like modern science and studies there, whether in psychology or history, and I'm like, is what this dude was saying like true, like or not, or and like
Right.
what can we get from this that's like helpful to people's practical lives. But that takes a lot of research, and I have a lot of stuff. So I mean, I have scripts written and everything, but I treat it more like a book. Like I write a
Okay.
long script, and when I'm ready, like, and I've edited it, I kind of read it into the mic. But
Oh,
hopefully
okay.
I'll do more in the
All right. How
future.
many episodes you in?
I'm in, I think, four.
Four. Okay.
Four
Good.
in.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you already started it. That's good. What about as far
Yeah.
as your YouTube? What do you have on there?
So, well, right now I just have the podcast
Oh,
episodes,
the
but
same
I
thing.
have been
Okay.
working on recently, like doing some video essays that lend themselves more to YouTube than something like TikTok, where I can like kind of go more in depth. So I'm excited about that. And video
Hmm.
editing is very hard. I've been doing like an
Okay.
online course and stuff, like trying to learn because I respect it so much. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. That's fun to learn something new.
I know. When I started trying to do this, I
Hmm.
had no knowledge about anything. I had no knowledge what OBS to use, what to record
Yeah.
my audio in, or how to even what microphones, or let alone what headphones to use. It was it's been so far it's been a learning experience that I've enjoyed.
That's inspiring to me because you seem like you've got it figured out. Like you've got such a great setup and you're organized. Like it looks great, and the videos look great too. So
Thank you, thank you. No,
yeah,
I want to make it better. I'm not where by far, but where I want it to be. I want to get it like well done to where I'm in the room with everybody I speak with. Because I feel
oh, that's
like
cool. Yeah,
the conversation will be a lot more. I want to say genuine because I feel like this conversation is genuine. But it'll feel more.
like connect. Like there's
There,
body language.
there
It
you
just
go.
does.
Yes.
Like yeah, it communicates things you can't
Yeah,
communicate over
we'll
video.
connect better as far as the
Yeah,
conversation goes. But that's the plan for this, But you have to start somewhere. I remember when I
absolutely.
started. You know which one the lavalier mics are?
Yeah.
That's what I started
Oh yeah,
with.
yeah. The small ones.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
I started with those in my phone, and then I upgraded to this, and then I finally got myself a laptop to start doing videos, and then here I am today. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's work in progress, but it'll
I
get
think
there.
I feel like it's funner to like be constantly improving
Of
than
course.
to be perfected kind of thing. Like
Right, right, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
funner to like have those small like growth moments of growth and everything. That's where the real like satisfaction comes from, I think.
Yeah, when you figure something out, you feel better about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I was
awesome.
gonna ask you something earlier, and when we veered into something else, when we were talking about the people in the past and whatever they've learned,
Hmm.
have you ever heard of the Library of Alexandria?
Yeah, it makes me sad. It
What's your
makes me
thought of
very
that?
sad.
What do you think what's in there?
Okay, well, I used to always be, because it's so many like philosophical texts like that we know, like because there are books that say like Plato wrote this and so Socrates wrote this, or who it. So we know the titles of the books, but we don't have them, and some of them are like sound like the thing that you want, like the thing you need to solve this riddle or whatever. And of course, they were in the Library of Alexandria, and now they're gone forever. There's no getting them back.
Right.
But on another way, like another times I think about it, it's like they're the most important pieces I think of knowledge are ones that could be destroyed and we would find anyways. Like if everything right now we know was erased, I think there are so many like things about science, things about like human life and how to be happy, all of these things would be discovered again and can be discovered again. They're universal. So I try to remind myself of something like that when I think about it, because otherwise I'll just break down in sadness.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I was gonna say, and I'm gonna push back a little bit. I'm gonna say,
Please.
I'm gonna say that it is possible that people can go back to wherever we are today, but the problem is it's not a problem. As I guess as see, hey, there goes my human. I forgot the word. I'm sorry. My I'm over here thinking about it's gonna be a long time before we get there, but eventually we'll get there, you know. But that's just me not having patience for things, you know.
You think like to recover, like to get to the point they were already at because we got set back so far. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if we get set back so far as, let's say, as far as a solar flare, right? Let's say we have a solar
Mm.
flare where everything, you know, gets fried and nothing works, because it is. I mean, I'm no scientist, but it is my understanding that that would happen. And I'm only saying it is my understanding because scientists have said that that would happen. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I've seen some kind of documentaries about that and stuff too. I don't know how much, but yeah, I
Right,
know what
of
you're
course,
talking about.
of course. Yeah, we
Yeah.
couldn't say for sure. You know, do you think that's ever happened, and that's why everything got erased?
I mean, I don't know if maybe I don't, because I think it affects technology. So I don't know if like it would have erased like their clay tablets and stuff back in the day. But like I don't know, like there's like things like the Library of Alexandria are kind of like resets of like solar, to the
Yeah.
of the degree of a solar flare would be. I think definitely there's times where things just get reset because of such a tragic loss of information.
Now, they say that the Vatican has a secret library. Now, whether this is true or not, I have no
Oh,
knowledge of, but this is what I've heard. Now, apparently, the Romans are the ones that burnt the dogs that were near the Library of Alexandria. So they didn't necessarily set the library on fire, but they set the docks on fire, and the library just happened to catch on fire. So now,
ah.
having said that, do you think, and also thinking that, also remembering the Vatican air quotes has a secret library. Do you think they could possibly, if they do, they could possibly have some books that were in there that they don't want people to know due to religion?
That, I mean, that's a very interesting, because there definitely could be heretical books. Like there's a lot of information in terms of like ancient religious stories that have been I don't know, that maybe inspired biblical stories, things like that, that could be traced from the Bible to these other original sources that they wouldn't want getting out because it would cast doubt upon the biblical stories or something as original works.
Right.
I could definitely see that. That's fascinating to think about. Man, I'm sure it's just, I don't know. I don't know whether they what they have in there.
I'm,
It's interesting.
I'm
What do
telling
you
you,
think?
these are the things that don't let me sleep at night. Well, what does the Vatican have in there? I want to know. No,
It's like the, I wonder if they tell the president whether aliens exist or not. Like I just want to be president so I can have that moment of them telling me or not, and then I'm good not being,
you
things.
know that's a question too that pops into my head now that we get
Yeah.
into that subject.
I wonder if they tell the Pope, like I wonder if when you become Pope they give you an alien briefing of like, hey, here's what we know.
That's a good
Yeah.
thought right there. Who has more power, the president of the United States or the Pope?
I know. I mean, it's I think in different realms, but I think there's a reason the presidents don't invade the Vatican. They could. They have them. I don't know.
It's a country within a country.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
that's what's crazy.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I bet. That's one that I would like to do before I part ways from this planet. You know,
yeah.
that would be a great thing to do. To see it and to I mean, obviously you won't get the full effect of what it used to be, but as far as remnants, you would get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a beauty of seeing like the like in America, like the oldest thing you see is like at most 200 or so years. But when you're in a place like Europe, it's like there are things that are just thousands of years old, just like right there on the sidewalk. It gives
Yeah.
you a deeper sense of connection.
I have not been to that side of the pond, but my understanding is that everything on that side is a lot older, and everything on this side is it's just so new, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but as far as culture go, as far as cultures, do you think we're all becoming one culture due to technology?
Oh, that's really interesting. Definitely. I mean, I think more than at any point in human history, like most of the world speaks English, which is itself is a huge cultural unification. And most of us look at the same memes. All of our TV shows are translated in the same
Yeah,
languages. Like, I think, I mean, I wouldn't say that we're all the same culture. There's definitely important differences among cultures.
right,
But I
right.
think, like, if you look at us now and at any other point in human history, we are infinitely more unified on a global scale than we've ever been.
I guess I should have clarified a little more. What I'm saying, as far as goes as dressing, the clothes that we
Mm.
wear, that everybody wears now, it's becoming a lot similar, right?
I think so. I mean, there's still noticeable differences all around, but I think even where the differences are, like you're aware that there are differences, whereas before it would have been completely like out of your field of knowledge and understanding. Whereas now we see someone in a, you know, an Irish skirt and we're like, oh, he's just Irish. You know, I get that. I understand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Because I remember as a kid, if I ever saw, like you just mentioned, an Irish skirt, like you would think, "Yo, that's weird," like
Yeah.
But it's because most of us didn't know that's the culture, you know.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's interesting how like different the cultures can be. Like a skirt in American culture is weird, like you say, but in Irish
right,
culture, it's a manly thing. And like if you see a dude, Irish
right.
dude, like he is not unmanly. Like he is a
No,
very,
those guys are
you know,
buff. You know, they got
yeah.
lungs too. Like that big pipe they
Yeah.
got to blow on it. They got lungs. Jesus, you
So it's
know.
cool to see like how something such as like masculinity is
Mm.
just like clearly not rigid. Like I don't know. That's fascinating
It-
philosophically.
that's another problem that humans on this side of the pond need to fix. You know, uh, seeing things as weird. Like I just said, I did it right now. You know, I did it.
Yeah,
Yo,
no.
that's weird. You know, but it's I didn't mean it in that sense. I
When
meant
you're
it
a
like
little, that's what you're taught. I mean,
yes.
and you don't control your natural instincts that your upbringing or whatever gives you, you know.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, we could you know, make it a little less and learn
Sure,
from
yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
It's a
Oh, of
learning
course.
process. It's a learning process. We're all still
And
learning.
it's, I mean, I think people associate the process with guilt, like you should do it or else feel guilty. But I think, I
Right.
mean, maybe some people need that motivation of like peer pressure, but I think it's also like an exciting process. Like I
Yeah.
get to learn about these new cultures and redefine like how I think about things in this like opposite way. It's like my world expands. It's like if you thought food, like a certain food was bad or like you never liked it growing up because you didn't really give it a chance, and then like when you're an adult you give it a chance and it's amazing.
Oh
Like
my
that's
god,
one of the
yeah.
most exciting things ever. I think like that's how the culture, like general culture things, should be viewed. It's like it's an exciting process. You shouldn't feel guilty. Maybe that's, I mean, maybe that's a good motivating for some people, but I think for most people it's more motivating to say like there's these things that you're not appreciating now that could totally enrich your life that if you gave them a chance. So yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 You said something that I was gonna touch on, but I wanted to remember the time when you said something, and I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No,
I was gonna say something on what you touched, but I lost my train of thought.
it's
I do that
okay.
a lot. I do that a lot. I
That
have a
shows your mind's
problem.
moving. It's moving at miles an hour. It's
It
okay.
is. I can't. You know, maybe it's good, but it could be bad too, because and you know, in my social media algorithms, what does it to me? Because I
Right.
spend
Oh yeah.
because I spend a lot of time, you know, seeing who I want to talk to. You know, if I see somebody that's talking about something interesting and I want to talk
Yeah.
to them, like I send them a message. But then you get the other dumb videos that get you, and then you get the news videos, and those get your heart pumping, and
Oh yeah.
it's like, Jesus, when is it over? I just want people to talk to on my podcast. Come on.
I'm interested, like, if you don't mind, like what inspires you to do all this work for this podcast? Like, yeah, I'll leave it an open question.
Okay, so I guess it's because I have not done anything with my life other than just work,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to dive into making videos, but I feel like making videos for like funny videos and stuff like that, but I feel like I'm not funny enough for that, and and also I'm not really good at talking to people, like and
I
and
won't interrupt. I have disagreements, but go on.
but my thought process was I want to get better at talking to people, and I also want to have something to do, because
Yeah.
I used to just go to work, come home, turn the TV on, and start drinking sodas and just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat junk food and good food and bad food and all kinds of food.
Yeah.
So I got to a point where I got really big, where I thought it was not healthy for myself. So I was like, I got to do something about this. And that's when I started working out. And then I'm like, all right, I only got the gym and I spend time with my kids, but I also want something that'll maybe in the future give me some profit. But
Yeah.
I also enjoy talking, and I also want to learn to talk to people, because I like talking to people. Because anytime I come across somebody with an interesting subject, like what we've been talking about, we've been all over the place right now. And other people that I came across, and this is mainly what I came across, was people with conspiracy theories.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
realized that I like talking to them whether I agree with them or not. And pretty much that's what drove me, just the wanting to learn, to have conversations, and to keep calm. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's bits and times that my voice gets a little faster than others. When it gets lower is when I'm like, all right, calm down, you're going too fast. But
See, I don't
that's
notice
my
that.
driver.
I love that. And I mean, like, I would support that even if you were a very bad conversationalist. Like, I would say that's a great goal. But I mean, like, I don't know you. I have no reason to lie to you. Like, you clearly are very good at talking,
Thank
and
you.
you can usually tell when someone isn't like actually interested in it. And you clearly have an enthusiasm for like just for conversing and connecting with people. So you're very good at what you do. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's like I don't know how much of that was you or if it's just like your genetics or whatever. You probably can't take much credit for it, but it's just a fact of the world. So you shouldn't feel discouraged. But
Well, I really appreciate your comment. Thank you very much for that. That only tells me one thing. It's that I have improved.
look
So
at
that
see,
makes me
yeah,
feel good about myself, and I really appreciate you for doing that. Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah. It was an
Yeah.
honor to
So,
be here.
yeah, this was fun. I really appreciate your time, and we'll end it on that. And like I said, this was really fun. I really appreciate your time, and anytime in the future you ever want to come back and do this again, hey, email me. You have my email now, and we can get in. We can get it. Oh, I can't even talk.
Sounds good, dude. No, I
we
get
can
what you're
we can
saying.
schedule something. Jesus,
Your mind's getting ahead of
I'm
you.
telling you, I get ahead of myself.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Oscar. You're a cool dude. And we'll talk again
Thank
soon,
you very
hopefully.
much. The pleasure was
Awesome.
mine. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
You as well. Whoa. What did I say? My conversation with Tariq. See, the last 2 days, people have told me that I've been doing good. And this, I'm going to take it to the head and believe it, so my head's going to get big. So thank you, my friend Tariq, and my friend from last episodes. Thank you very much to everybody that's have accepted to have a conversation with me and nobody. But most importantly, today the thank goes to my friend Tariq. I hope I keep saying that right. Jesus, jeez. Anyways, thank you for having this conversation with me. I really feel appreciated. And like I said, according to my friend Tariq, he says that I'm doing a great job. So that makes me feel great, and it makes me appreciate. It makes me appreciate the work that I've done so far. Um, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, so I want to see if I can get this finished off, and anyways, see if I could do this one, because I'm struggling with this thing right now. Anyways, thank you very much for the time you've given me. I appreciate it. And that being said, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It means the world to me. It's probably not much for you, but please do subscribe. I really appreciate it. This is once again, this is Oscar with R2 Cents. And until the next one.